Everyone likes, loves, smashes, share.
Facebook sucks.
Why, you banned again?
No, just as a platform.
Oh,
I'll get into this when we get into the show.
It's fine.
Welcome to the show. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Here at the Crown Jewel studio at the Texas Real Estate Investment Center. 5295 Hollister, 290.
Oh, you're doing your Nicolas Cage thing.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah.
You can't talk like this because Rick gets mad.
Oh, does Rick? Is it driving Rick crazy?
Like this. It makes him crazy.
Rick is our adult producer in the studio. A-Rock fixes a lot of stuff, but then he has to figure out how to make this sound good on AM radio, which I hear is quite the challenge. So, I did my little podcast last night with a couple of guys.
How'd it go?
We've got 15,000 views in less than 10 hours. So I bet we'll hit 30,000. Right. And then a couple of guys afterwards, we started chatting in our Facebook group. And I just threw it out there. I was like, you guys want to do more of this? And a couple other guys were like, yeah, let's do it. So anyway, we're working on something. You guys might see something here. It's not real estate related, although we're going to talk about business, but it's going to be pretty cool. So I'm excited.
Cool.
Looking for houses on Lake Conroe. Found one already. Come on, Rob. Let's go get it.
Let me get the ones. We're pushing now. We're pushing hard right now. There's so many things moving. So many moving pieces.
6,000 square foot house probably needs 20 a foot in rehab, at least.
I don't have time for that. I got the make readies. So we have actually, because we got that other acquisition. So we have 18 make readies to do in the next 6 weeks. Mm-hmm. Then I've got all these houses that we're selling. So I was like, hey, did you know there's a little hole in the roof over here? I'm like, okay, I'll fix it. And do you know this thing? Okay, give me the punch list.
Yeah, give me the list.
So then I got to get those because we're selling so many of these things. So that's all getting done. And now bringing on late, but we're bringing on 2 more Airbnbs. So that's got to get done, that whole bunch of stuff. On top of the $2.25 million worth of real estate, real estate rehabs we have to do right now.
Yeah, I mean, what else are you guys doing all day?
Yeah, that's it, just that.
What are y'all doing all day?
But it's going good, and we stepped up some of the quality, I think, in the last 2 weeks.
A little QA/QC action. I was having this thought yesterday because we had a little business discussion. I'm like, as soon as we get the construction sorted out, like we can really crank this machine up. Like I don't think people understand how we're kind of I don't know 15-20% capacity on the.
Yeah, we're going to hire an office manager for the construction company. We'll also have looking for 2 more project managers.
I'll tell you, I like it when I hear Travis yell because I know things are getting done.
Well, I mean, I think we when he started 7 weeks ago, we had 12 plans, engineer, and permit issues on the board, and we're through 9 of them. So I feel like there's a lot of progress being made. Big time project we're doing now, those glass flips. We should be done with the bathrooms tomorrow. And then the paint is done, and then it's just the kitchen behind it, and we're done. Those going on the market in 6 weeks.
Kitchens are a joke.
Well,
They're
the 3 that are empty, we're going to go ahead and do those first, and we'll put those on the market probably in 3.5 weeks.
Oh, there you go.
Yep. We got Ray's Way closing. We got New World closing. We got Bengal deals coming in, Crane, 6th Street, and then I guess we got to put that list together for folks because we still have like 4 or 5 off-market deals if they're interested.
So we've got, these are not, now I'm going to tell you right now, these are not 80% minus repairs. I'm a real estate investor. I'm going to come in there and negotiate against Jason and Rob. Like you can pack that somewhere else, buddy, because we'll just put it on MLS. It'll be gone tomorrow. This is like, these are ready properties. They're nice. They're really turnkey is probably the best way to put it.
Within very, very close, if not exceeding the 1% rule.
Right. So if you're a broke guy, let's be honest. When people start talking about the 70 and 80% rule, you're broke.
Yeah.
This is called investing, and it's going to require time and money.
Yep.
So if you're coming at me with, I need a no money out of pocket deal, I already know your story.
Yeah.
So just don't bother calling us, right? This is not for you. So, but if you want some properties that are already done, they're nice, they're going to cash flow for you.
Yeah. Some have tenants in them, some are getting tenants in them. I mean, again, they're just right around that 1%. I think we've got a duplex that we're selling for $230. Yeah, $230, and the collective rent is $21. So we're not far off. And
or you're going to put 20% down anyway.
Just completely rehabbed, gut rehab. I mean, mini splits, everything looks beautiful, new roof. It's a perfect house, right?
Yeah.
Foundation got work. We took care of some termite issues. I mean, it's solid for 5 years, right?
Yeah. Got
a triplex. Again, the rent is going to be $24.50, and I think we have it at $260. So we're negotiating right now. I said, yeah, man, if I get $245, that's 1%. I'll never go below the 1%. Or why don't I just keep it?
Right. It doesn't.
So that makes no sense. I'll just keep it if you're going to ask me to go below the 1%.
It's always funny to me because you get these guys that are like, yeah, man, you're a motivated seller. Man, you know what I'm motivated by? Piles of cash.
Right.
And you bring this amount of piles of cash, hand it to me, and you can have the house. That's my motivation here. That's it. Otherwise, we just keep it. Like, it's not that big a deal.
Right. If you're trying to get me to sell it below the 1% rule, I'm not interested.
Yeah, good luck.
I'll just get the refi. We're good.
Yeah, we're good there. So we got that going on.
We're coming close to wrapping up this syndication.
Oh yeah. Jamie must have sent me 100 emails this morning with like changes of LLCs and all this other stuff, and I'm like, all right, what am I signing off on here?
Well, come October, we're gonna have LLC day because we gotta eliminate some. We're closing out some, starting some new ones. We're getting all that stuff organized for mine, and her portfolio.
I still got to go down and open one up for the beach house. I completely forgot to do that last week.
Bank account, yeah. There's checks floating around here.
I know there's checks floating around, and she's like, "Hey, you got a check?" And there's this and this, and I'm like, "Well, just run everything through our management company right now, and just leave me a little pile over there, and I'll finally get the stupid bank account open." So, but that's turning out to be a fun little Fun little Airbnb. So, but
Booking. It's booking.
Booking,
now,
yeah, it's booking.
Yeah. So we also looked at our Airbnb portfolio this morning. We're selling a lot of those too. So if you're interested, man, got 3 great ones. All 4 we're selling down Surfside are really good Airbnbs. Really good Airbnbs.
And why are we selling them right now? Because we need to do $250,000 construction on another Airbnb down there.
Well, I mean, we're selling because we're making our money and we're paying off our stuff free and clear, right? So, I mean, you can have a house on the Gulf of Mexico free and clear. It's not a bad deal, right?
Yeah.
It's worth $1 million. So,
Yeah, we get done with that. In fact, speaking of which, I probably need to find my survey engineer dude because they have to start taking soil samples to figure out what kind of property to
build
put
on.
in there. Yeah.
Yep.
So, yeah, not a bad 2 years here at Mr. Texas Real Estate. I was on the bike this morning. This is my first real bike ride post-COVID. It was not fun. I'll tell you that. One of the gals we were hanging out with at the lake this weekend, she said, a young gal too, 27, maybe 26, and she said, am I going too long? We got 30 seconds. All right. She said it took her 6 months, and she works out and all that stuff. She said it took her 6 months to get to the point where she could walk up a set of stairs in which she wouldn't get winded.
Wow.
So I got back on the bike. It wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but I'm glad I'm not doing that 100-mile race this weekend. There's no way I can do it. No way. So,
hey guys, Robert and Jason here with the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Hey, go ahead and check out our website, mrtxre.com. MR is in Mr., TX is in Texas, RE is in realestate.com. We'll be back.
welcome back. Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network, here at the Texas Real Estate Investment Center.
Listen to Elon Musk did a little thing talking about AI because he had a big AI day. I don't know if you saw the Tesla robot.
Yeah, there's a Tesla robot.
It's just like the iRobot.
What's funny about that? Yeah, it looks like the iRobot, but then I'm already seeing guys pump out those memes that show like the Terminator.
Yep.
You know, he's like, and there's like fire in the background, and he's he's going to the store to pick up stuff for me. He kills all these people. It's pretty hilarious, actually.
So he said, "Hey, the problem with AI." He's like, I don't think these things are going to become self-aware and then realize that humans are, like cancer.
Scourge on the earth. Yeah.
He's like, it's the garbage in, garbage out, right? Mm-hmm. So let's say you're a hedge fund manager and you program your algorithm to make as much money as possible and allow it to understand the market, and it figures out what to do. It shorts consumer products and goes long on military products and starts a war.
Yeah.
Right? It's like, therefore, you would make the most in that fund. You would be really, really successful. But here you have this little thing that goes out there and keeps figuring out, no, now what I got to do is I got to go start problems out in the internet to create a conflict so that I can go long on my war machine and go short on the consumer products.
But you'd also have on the other side, because this is trading,
Yeah.
you'd have another AI that's doing the exact opposite, right? So here's what's always been fascinating to me is when someone can't explain to me the difference between machine learning and AI. I still have not had anyone and maybe we need to find a really hardcore, high level computer science guy that can explain that. But I can't tell what's the difference between machine learning and AI? And nobody can really tell me that. That's why I don't think there's all this AI floating out there. I think it's a lot of machine learning.
Okay. So I'm going to take a crack at it.
Okay.
I think machine learning is trial and error.
Okay.
AI is an algorithm to predict what's going to happen.
Yeah, I don't know.
I think that's what we're talking about. I think the AI is that's the autopilot. It's predicting what's going to happen as it drives along.
But it's got to have enough variables in there to.
And you should watch
math.
the program or at least watch a review on it. It is insane how big it's basically their computer that's running their AI system. Their automatic autopilot is faster than the human brain.
Well, given the state of intelligence these days, it's not exactly a high bar.
Yes.
I mean,
it didn't say which state, right?
Yeah. It didn't say which RIA club all that brain power was coming out of.
Oh, we were supposed to talk about returns today. Yeah. That's what we're talking about
yeah.
tonight. Yep.
Ooh.
So these sort of phantom returns, I just keep hearing more and more about it. Like I bring it up last week on I did a passive versus active thing, and then I get some direct text like, "Yeah, you should see this guy screwing me." And I'm like, "Hey, look, if you're an apartment syndicator and you bought an apartment deal in 18 or 19, and it was about conversion and upgrading and all that other stuff." And there's no doubt you are not performing the way you're supposed to be
No,
performing.
absolutely not.
You're just not. And there's very good reasons why, right? It's called COVID. Mm-hmm. And then on top of COVID, there was a freeze. And then on top of the freeze, there's inflation. And on top of inflation, there's a shortage, right? Mm-hmm. So everyone is taking a hit, us too, except we get on a Zoom call every month and say, hey, we have problems here. We're doing this. Hey, this is looking good. Hey, there's some challenges. We're trying to cut these off, blah, blah, blah. And we just constantly... and we got a radio show. We just constantly talk about all the
hey guys,
nonsense.
this is where we're
doing,
at.
right?
We're probably going to land somewhere between here and here.
Right. Hey, I know we said 14, 15, but it looks like 12 to 13. Sorry, guys.
On the worst case scenario.
Right, but you're sorry. You're like, hey, this is it. It's the people that go dark.
Yeah.
And people start panicking, and that's when lawyers get involved, and it's all really, really nasty. And we see it, and we hear about it at least all the time. Versus other funds, we said, hey, we did really well. Mm-hmm. We're super happy to show that to you too, right? And so, the 5 things we've carried so far, we're doing very well overall. So, but again, we get on the line every month, and people want to see like written reports, so we've upgraded that software, and they've got to get all the stuff, and the returns are the returns. It's so when I hear these stories, my first response to them is, well, you did know that real estate is high risk, right? Mm-hmm. You did understand that, right? And it's like, yeah, I get it, but I'm so far off the pro forma. And it's like, well, anyone can make a pro forma, right?
We're talking about the other guys here. Because our pro formas are actually...
No, ours are good. Because
actually
we're
based
super
in reality.
conservative, yeah.
Right. In fact, I was thinking
I'm
about...
super conservative.
I was thinking about this weekend. I'm like, man, if I could ethically... sit down and write a pro forma like the ones I get sent on from these other real estate guys. I'm like, man, we'd raise $1 gazillion and be driving Lambos around here and all kinds of stuff, right?
No.
I look at this stuff and I'm like, I don't.
So I feel bad when people say, hey, I've got, $1.2 million tied up with these guys and they're not hitting their numbers. And I'm like, well, there's COVID, blah, blah, blah. What are they saying to you? And then the answer is they're not saying anything.
But they're spending a lot of time on social media, right?
Yeah, they're spending a lot of time on social media. And then, oh my God, I'll tell you this off air.
Okay, we can't tell the story on.
It's too
There's some stuff
too many people involved, but there's a group out of the West Coast, which is horrible.
Yeah.
The worst events in the world.
Yeah.
Just really bad events.
Is this a guy that's getting a little hot water with the SEC?
Nope. And then there's a guy we know who we respect, who's now part of that group, and I'm like, what are you doing?
What happened?
You don't know, do you? Oh, wait till you go to the first show.
Has he been shocked yet, or is he doesn't know?
It's coming.
But you probably told him, buddy.
I did not tell him.
Oh, you didn't? Okay.
And I'm looking at all the other gurus on there. I'm like, okay.
You know what? I think a lot of people. All right, I'm going to be really transparent here with how we kind of think in this office.
Yeah.
There is a reason that we are no longer associated with a lot of people in this marketplace.
Yeah.
Because of the people they choose to be associated with.
That's the problem.
And so whether it's by sheer ignorance, they don't know, or they do know what these people are doing in their businesses, we're like, hey, we can't be involved in that. No. I got invited to do a really cool event, and I really liked the guy, and then I said, all right, can you send me all the other speakers? And I politely said, man, according to my attorney, I cannot go and be anywhere near this nonsense. So you'll see, like, hey, where did Jason and Rob aren't involved in this event anymore? They don't do this anymore. It's like, I mean, what are we doing these days? The Jet event, that's about it.
Again, it's so many people are not built to last.
You know what? We've not talked about that in a while.
They're
Durability.
not built to last. They're not durable. They're not resilient. They're dead after their first hit, right?
Yeah.
And that hit is going to be serious because it's bank fraud. It's FTC violations, SEC violations, right? Just we're sitting there watching this stuff, and I'm like, oh my god, that guy is just he just broke 3, 4, 5 absolute no-nos, and he's standing on stage at a really reputable place, and you're like, I can't be here.
I don't think people know that like a lot of the people that are in our business, like our event coordinator, is also a loan officer.
Right.
So she went to an event not too long ago, and they said, "Oh yeah, we pay referral fees and do all that." She goes, and she's like, "Whoa, that is completely illegal.
That's illegal. You can't do that.
You can't do that." And she goes, "Are you a loan officer?" "No, I'm not." She goes, "Well, I am, and I'm telling you right now, what you're doing is completely illegal." Right. The same thing with realtors. Like some of the stuff, they're like, "Oh my gosh, this is crazy." So I asked her, I said, "How long do you think it's going to take?" She goes, "They eventually all get caught."
They all do. Hey, this is Robert and Jason. This is the world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. This is the Texas Real Estate Radio Network. Check out our website, mrtxre.com, mrtxre.com. To the best of my knowledge, we are not breaking any federal, local, or state laws, so we're in good shape. mrtxre.com. MR is in Mr. TX is in Texas. RE is in realestate.com. Hey, we'll be back. Hey guys, it's Robert and Jason, world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. Thanks for listening, checking us out tonight. So, yeah, there's actual laws that get broken daily in our industry, and then there's just the sort of ethical stuff,
right? That
also there's massive violations on as well.
So here's where I think is interesting. Let's say you're dealing with a company, you're dealing in syndications and all that stuff. Here is what happens. And I'm just going to tell it from my layman's perspective. I'm sure we should get an attorney on here and a criminal law attorney, and have them explain this. But let's say you're involved in a company. They do some things they shouldn't, whether it's on a loan side or on whatever it is. Typically when those guys come in, all the investors and all the payments and all that stuff stops. Like they're like, whoa. All this stuff you guys are doing, you're going to stop right now. So even though the syndication or the note or the deal or whatever it is you're in may be, quote, okay, but because of some of the criminal activities, alleged criminal activities that some of these people are involved in, the government just walks in and shuts it all down. Because they can't tell, when it first starts, they can't tell what's good and what's not. And at least according to the conversations I've had, they just assume it's all bad stuff. And they go, nope, time out here, boys. We're not doing distributions. We're going to slow this thing way down and figure out how exactly this business actually works. And a lot of investors don't realize that. I'd love to have a conversation with a couple of these investors that are in some of these deals that we know the SEC is getting involved. They've already said that there's massive fraud in place. So now like I said, I've only seen this guy's deals from the outside, so I can't tell you if those things are actually occurring. But what I can tell you is when the Security and Exchange Commission goes for an indictment, that's not good. So it's going to be interesting to see how this stuff plays out. Because here's what happens. SEC comes in. Let's say the Texas Bank Board comes in, CFPP will get involved on the loan side, and I believe it's actually the FBI that investigates bank fraud.
Yeah.
So these guys all get in.
The Treasury Department.
Oh, Treasury. Yeah, they all dive in, right? It's a ton of subpoenas. It's grand jury. It's all that nonsense, right?
And they get to it.
And they will figure it out.
Yep. Bank fraud, there is no statute of limitations.
There is no statute of limitations. Which is the same as mortgage fraud, by the way.
Yep.
Bank fraud is mortgage fraud. So if people are doing crazy stuff with mortgages, it's bank fraud. Then the second thing that happens, a lot of people don't realize this. All the investors then start suing these guys.
Yep.
Everything goes into complete lockdown.
Right.
Then 9 times out of 10, this is the other thing that happens because I've seen this. Their families go to complete pieces. Spouses start leaving. Kids don't want to talk to them. It's a horrible mess. So we've seen this enough times where it's like, I'm just sitting there and I'm like, all right, what's the timer on this operation? What's the timer in this? And we just kind of sit and watch it, and it just all completely falls apart. It's incredible. So if you guys are in, like I said, I'm telling you guys, when you've got to be smarter than just what's in the PPM and what's in the, we get approached all the time to do events. And then I start asking all the back channels. And a lot of times guys at our level will say this. They may not tell you what's going on, but they'll say this: hey man, you just, over a couple of beers, 2 or 3 beers in, we talked about family, all that stuff. How's your business? Doing great. Not doing good here, but looking to, I'm like, hey, I just got approached by so-and-so to do this thing. And they'll go, they may not say it, but they'll say, hey man, I'd be real careful there. And I go, okay, message received.
Yep, get that all the time.
All right. Got to be careful. Okay, we're not doing business with them.
It's real estate. I mean, it's full of shysters, right?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
It's real estate. I mean, you understand. Yeah. But then when you're in it, you're like, oh. And then you talk to the person. It's like, I wonder, where's the truth serum, right?
Oh, that's right.
Because I want to really know, do you understand that you're committing a felony? You're breaking the law and trying to screw people. Do you understand that? Or in your mind, have you convinced yourself that you're doing the right thing?
Yes.
That's the big thing. It's like, do you understand you're a villain, or do you think you're a hero? Right.
I will tell you, because I've known some of these people. They don't get it.
Yeah, or they're just so, I don't know, atypical, right? They're just, it doesn't touch them.
What's so fascinating is the philanthropic things that they do outside of their business life. And I'm like, you do realize that what you're doing is in the direct opposite of what you're doing in your private life. Like, this is not only is this not ethical, it's also completely illegal.
Yeah.
Like, you will get caught.
This industry is crazy.
Well, the SEC's cracking on some dude that raised $7 million over 5 years? $9 million over 5 years, which I'll tell you right now is nothing for the SEC. Yeah. Like, that is a rounding error with the kind of stuff those guys deal with. Yep. So now they're starting to go after the small guys because they know they can win.
Right.
Because you ain't got the money. I talked to a buddy of mine. He was in banking. A friend of his owns a bunch of banks, commercial banks. And the FDIC came in and said, hey, man, we don't like how this is going and this is going, and we think you're doing some stuff you shouldn't be doing. It wasn't even a criminal proceeding.
No.
He spent $10 million in legal fees. Like, you don't have the money. Who was it? Petraeus? That essentially, he just basically said, all right, we got a plea bargain, because he didn't have the money.
Yep.
And he was a general, for God's sake. He made plenty of money, right? You do not have the money to fight these guys. So, it's funny to me when people are like, well, I'm just going to kind of do this and nobody's going to know, and I can kind of, and I'm like, no, man, it's just a matter of time until you get popped. Mm-hmm. And then once that federal or state agency steps in, then it's all your investors, because your investors don't know what else is going on. And probably some of your investors are attorneys. And if they're not, they know attorneys. And it's phone calls and let's go. Let's take them to court. And then you're now having to settle all these legal matters. Your business goes to zero overnight. Okay, that's the legal side. Let's go to the ethical side. Okay.
So here's the other thing I've heard. This guy sets up a boiler room. Right?
Oh, yeah, the boiler room.
And he has his salespeople trained by attorneys not to get in trouble.
Right. So this is how far can you push it?
But push the line as far as possible and then not get in trouble. So it's like, how much spin can I put on it before I get called to the mat?
Right.
And it's like, wow, I think that's even worse.
Yeah.
I never said it was guaranteed.
But
I never said it was safe, but man, everyone applies it, right?
This is one of those like, well, yeah, real estate's been around a long time, and the market's, going up, and we've got some really great returns on the last deals that we've done, and it's like, so you imply that it's guaranteed.
Yes.
Of course, you never say it.
Right. And then it's like, Robert, that's just sales. I'm like, that's not the sales I want to be in.
That's not the sales. You know what our sales are? All right. You know what this PPM is? And they go, what? So the first
70.
First 70 pages of our PPM is how we're going to lose your money and you're not going to get it back. And they go, okay. And this is high risk. Okay. I have to legally disclose that to you. The rest of this document is how we're going to make money. And everyone goes, okay, well, that seems reasonable. In fact, we sit down and say, according to the FTC and the SEC, this is all high risk.
Yep.
Well, what else is high risk? Anything but a treasury.
Right.
Everything is high risk.
Well, unless you get rated by Moody's.
Right. Yeah. Or it's an annuity or
Yeah.
something like that. Right. So I'm like, everything is high risk, but for these 2 or 3 things. And they're like, oh, that makes sense. And I'm like, this is how we're going to lose your money. Okay.
Now give us
your money.
Here's the wire information.
Yeah. Here's the pro forma, which ours are real. And then here's the wiring information to our account. By the way, you got to sign some documents. Okay.
Yep.
Why can't we have that as a sales conversation?
Well, I mean, we try, right? It's unfortunate that the others in this market may not be that forthright. Hey, this is Robert Jason with world-renowned Mr. Texas Real Estate. Thanks for checking us out. I think we got one more segment. We'll be back.
And you know what? Now it's so much easier to catch these people than it was even 5 years ago.
Yeah, there's a digital record of everything.
And you think you can't hide any of it, right?
I mean, there was a time this stuff was being done in the back room at the restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So if you knew everyone in the room, it was okay to just tell them whatever you wanted to say, right? And there was no sort of audio recording.
Let's turn it back on here.
Yep.
Welcome back, Jason Bible, Robert Orfino, Texas Real Estate Radio Network, world-renowned,
Yeah.
Mr. Texas Real Estate Team. Yeah, it's so easy to catch him now.
Yeah.
It's
Because it's so dumbed down, right? I don't know how to say it, and I don't want to feel like an elitist, but there are just people who are pushing paper out there who no business doing it.
You know what I thought was hilarious? I had this conversation with somebody once, and they said, I gave them 2 of my attorneys. They didn't want to work with them. And they said, they found another attorney. And they're like, hey, we're disclosing this, disclosing that. And I said, all you're doing is disclosing fraud. You do realize that.
Yeah, you're just telling you're doing fraud.
I'm like, it was
Well,
so.
that makes it easier.
That makes it. Yeah, it's all. I actually had a buddy of mine who's an attorney look at it. He goes, dude, every deal they're closing, it's 7 to 9 violations of federal law. And I'm like, this is, and he's like, there's no gray area, dude. It's all like I could see it in their docs. It was like, oh, this is hilarious. But you know what? It's if someone ever tells you they've got a shop for an attorney, that's when I know there's a problem. Because I'm like, here are the best securities attorneys. Right. Here's the best guy nationally. Here's my guy locally.
Yeah.
Here's the best real estate people. And like, yeah, we never really called him back.
But this stuff breaks down at every level, right? So again, it's mirrored on Wall Street. It's mirrored in other industries, and guys are out there doing nefarious things, right? And they just keep running, making all the money. And then it just sort of dumbs down to your local RIA, and the guy's like, oh, well, I'm going to go take advantage of these people too.
Yes.
And again, I just, I look at people and I'm like, do you know you're the villain or do you think you're the good guy? Mm-hmm. And that's the one I just can't, I was like, they can't possibly think, can they?
They believe they're the good guy. I can tell you that right now. They believe they're the good guy. Because I've had this conversation with dozens of people who are doing very similar things, and they think they're doing good. I'll give you a good Jordan Peterson quote. It's more important how you make your money than how much.
Yes.
Because here's what'll happen. It's all going to catch up. Like, it's all going to catch up to you at some point.
Yes.
And then here you are, you're going to have to stand in court in front of all these families whose portfolios are now destroyed.
Right.
With the activities that you were involved in.
And their FICO score.
Yeah, and it's just going to be an absolute disaster. Yeah. So it's sad to watch. Mm-hmm. The other thing, a lot of people may not know this, but we're tied in with everybody. There is not very many investors that are really raising money and working with investors that we don't know kind of what's going on behind the scenes. Because 9 times out of 10, it's somebody in our mastermind or a friend of ours that is working with all these other guys. They work with us, they work with everybody else. So I see all of it.
Yeah.
You could sign all the non-competes, non-disclosures, all that nonsense, but I'm telling you, it all gets shared. Like, that's why we just let it all out on the radio, because I'm like, it doesn't take long for people to figure out what we're doing over here. There's no secret. What is Jason and Rob doing? Like, what are they up to? We're buying real estate, dude. Buying it as fast as we can.
Yep.
And here's the returns. Well, I don't know. I can get double those returns over here. And I'm like, look, buddy, you need to go investigate that over there. But this is what we can offer. And I'm not going to compete in the unethical space of promising something that I'm not sure we can deliver. Even if let me put it this way. Even there's a 50-50 chance we can deliver that, I don't want to give you that promise.
Well, again, which is, you have to have that conversation. We don't get the first-time real estate investor.
No.
Right? We get the guy, it's like, well, what are you really saying? It's like, well, I think, we're going to do 7 or 8% preferred, and then there'll be a little kicker at the end. So what is that going to come out to? Come between 10 and 12%. All right. That sounds realistic to me. Great. I was like, yeah, what did you think? He's like, well, these other guys promised me 22, 24%. I'm like, oof, who are those guys? And then we get into the story. It's like, yeah, I went to this event, and this is this, and then I got the pro forma, and I'm told it's a 24% return over 3 years. I'm like,
And how did it work out? It didn't.
Yeah.
And he said, what I realized is anything north of about 9% is pretty good.
Right. Yeah.
If there were really legitimate, a bunch of 20, 30, 40% deals out there, there'd be so many other... Here's one of the things I like to say. Real estate is not an efficient market. Like the stock market's pretty efficient, meaning you just can't go in and steal Apple for half price because someone's offering it at half price. It gets bid up to market pretty quick.
Yeah.
For the most part, that happens in real estate. Now, it's not as efficient as the capital markets. But if you think you're going down the street here to Houston, Texas, buying a Class C at $45,000 a door and you're putting 20 in and you're going to double your return in a couple of years, it's total nonsense.
Right.
And I'll tell you, I'm hooked up with some of the biggest apartment guys in town. I mean, I was having a conversation with one of them the other day, and he's like, if we can refi inside of 4 years, we're doing pretty good, which is where you get your returns at.
Right.
So,
but the pro forma looks much better if you do it in year 3.
That's right. Yeah, of course, because now you have, quote, no money in the deal, all that nonsense, right?
That's the problem. That's a big problem, right? Because we've run that pro forma in year 4, refi, and we're like, ooh, whoa, what happened?
Yeah, it's year 3.
Yeah, so everyone does year 3. Nobody refis in year 3.
Yeah, you just don't have enough runway.
I mean, again, in a good market, in a good time, yeah, I'm sure between 2014 and 2018, it all worked. It's different now.
Yeah.
And it's going to be different now. Maybe you get a better interest rate, but maybe you ain't getting the right tenant in there. Maybe it's slower. Maybe just finding crews, finding wood, finding pipe, right?
Yeah.
So all this stuff just changes. And I know that if you're on that side, like I can understand if I'm the architect of that deal, right? Mm-hmm. And it's looking bad, but it's looking bad because of external forces, right? Mm-hmm. I get it. I get why you want to crawl under a rock and you don't want to come out of bed, and it's hard, right? Or you're the guru and you don't want anyone in town to know that you're being sued.
Yeah.
Right? And so you got to kind of be crafty, and then you're not, and you're hiding, and then you get the I get it all, right? Man, it's so much easier if you just bear your dirty laundry in public and just say, I'm clearing my chest. This deal's in trouble, right?
Yeah.
Let it know. Hey, we had a freeze. This freeze cost this fund $107,000. Do you everyone understand that? Okay, good. Now we know. So when you ask me in a year from now, hey, I thought we might be a little bit higher, I'm going to remind you, we had $107,000 worth of pipe burst.
Yeah.
So now we got to deal with it.
In a $6 million fund is not a lot.
That's not a lot. No, but I'm just telling people, like, hey, this is something that really happened.
Yeah.
Right? Hey, we did a flip and wood prices doubled during the time that we were adding on, right? Mm-hmm. Hey, guess what? Instead of having a $28,000 add-on, it was a $39,000 add-on. Does everyone understand why? Okay, Mr. Investor, here's the reason, right? Versus denial, right? Depression, hiding it, or I've got my own lawyers, I'm suing him back. It's like, nobody wants to hear that, right?
Yeah.
So, again, I think we offer a really nice alternative for the folks that just are done with the nonsense.
Yes.
Right? If you're done with the nonsense, then come here and we got a preferred 7, 8. You're going to be good. You're going to make a little money in the back end. That's our fund. Just came out. We can advertise it. Go ahead and check it out. But for those other people that are, and it's just the next generation and the next generation and the next generation.
So let me explain why that. In fact, we
got a minute left.
All right. So if you guys want to know more about our funds, just 281-409-9008. Text fund 281-401. Oh, sorry, 281-401-9008. 281-401-9008. Let me explain to you why that happens. There's always a next generation because they don't last.
Yes.
because at year 3, year 4, year 5, that's when the lawsuits happen.
Yeah.
That's when I can see it. I usually see it about year 2. I always ask, like, how are you guys growing? How many employees you bringing on board? All that. And I could see it where it's like, oh, yeah, we're doing well. But I'm like, okay, well, how many people have you hired? Because I know here we got to hire like 10 more people between now and the end of the year, right?
Yeah.
It's insane. So if you're not growing fast, you're probably not going to last.
And I see that problem. Hey, guys, thanks for joining us tonight. Stay tuned. We're going to be back with a short little message, and then we're done for the night. We'll see you tomorrow night. Hey, can you